Put one wrong number on a California 3-day pay or quit notice, even by a few dollars, and the judge can toss out your whole eviction before it even starts and you have to start over. I'm Chrissy Wade, broker and owner of Wellspring Property Management, and for over 10 years, we've managed hundreds of units across the state of California, so we know these rules inside and out. By the end of this video, you'll know every step of a valid 3-day pay or quit notice, how to count the 3 days, and the mistakes that landlords make to make the whole process start over. So let's get into it. The thing to understand up front is that a 3-day notice is not paperwork that you toss together. California courts demand strict compliance, which means even a small error can void the whole thing and send you back to square one. So we're gonna go step by step, and I'll flag the exact spots where landlords slip up. Step 0, make sure this is even the correct notice before you serve it. Before you print anything, get one thing straight. The 3-day notice to pay a rent or quit is for one situation only, and that's unpaid rent. If the real problem is a broken lease, an unauthorized pet, or serious damage to the unit, that's a totally different notice. Use the wrong one, and the case is dead before it even starts. There's also the Tenant Protection Act, AB 1482. For most tenants in California, you need what the law calls just cause to end a tenancy. Here's the good news for non-payment though. Failing to pay rent is an at-fault just cause, so the pay or quit notice is the exact tool the law expects you to use here. Just know that if your unit is covered by AB 1482 or a local ordinance, your paperwork may need to state that just cause in writing. So before anything else, pull your records, confirm the tenant actually owes past due rent, confirm the exact amount, and confirm you're dealing with non-payment and nothing else. That ledger is going to matter in a minute. Step 1, put only rent on the notice and get the number exact. This is where most notices die, so stay with me. California Law Code of Civil Procedure 1161 says the notice can demand rent and only rent. No late fees, no utilities, no parking, no pet fees, no return charge fees. Bundle any of that in and you're likely poisoned the entire notice. And the amount has to be exact. I'm not exaggerating. When I say a few dollars can sink you, it can. In one published California case, a notice overstated the rent by $5.96 on a balance of just over $1,000. The court tossed the notice out, $5.96. So when you write that number in, it needs to be rent. The true rent, only the rent, down to the dollars and cents. Overstate it, and you've handed the tenant a clean defense. One more limit people miss. You can only demand rent that came due within the last 12 months. Anything older than a year does not belong on this notice. All right, step 2, include everything the law requires. The exact amount is just the beginning. The same statute requires the notice to spell out a few more things, and leaving any of them off is going to be a problem. You need the name, telephone number, and address of the person who is supposed to receive the rent. If you accept payment in person, you also have to state the usual days and hours that person is available to take it. And here's the one thing that quietly kills the notice. The 3 days have to be described in writing on the notice, as excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and judicial holidays. If that language isn't there, a court may refuse to honor the notice entirely. Then the basics that still trip people up, list every tenant named on the lease, not just one. Put the full property address, including the unit number, date it, and sign it. Each missing piece is one more defense you've handed to the other side. Step 3, serve it the right way, in the right order. Here's the hard rule. You cannot text a photo of the notice, and you cannot just slip it under the door and call it served. Service is governed by the Code of Civil Procedure 1162, and there are exactly 3 methods used in order of preference. First is personal service. You hand the notice directly to the tenant. It's the cleanest method and the hardest for anyone to challenge later in court. Second is substituted service. If the tenant isn't home and isn't at their usual workplace, you can leave the notice with another responsible adult, someone of suitable age at either place, and then you can also mail a copy to the tenant. Both parts have to happen. Leave it with the adult, but skip the mailing, and the service is incomplete. Third is post and mail. This is the last resort, used only when you genuinely cannot find the tenant or a suitable adult at home or at work. You post the notice in a conspicuous spot on the property, and then you mail a copy. Because it's a fallback, it's also the easiest method for a tenant's attorney to attack in court. So don't reach for it just because it's easy and convenient. My honest advice is to use a registered process server. When a registered process server signs the proof of service, California law treats that as presumed correct service. That presumption is worth a great deal if the tenant decides to fight it in court. All right, stick with me. Step 4, count the 3 days correctly. This trips up even experienced owners, so let's be precise. The 3 days do not start on the day you serve the notice. They start the very next day, and weekends and judicial holidays don't count towards the total 3 days. So let's make it concrete here. If you serve the notice on a Monday with no holiday in the way, and the 3 days runs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the tenant has through the end of the day Thursday. Now serve that same notice on a Friday. The clock skips Saturday and Sunday, so it runs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and the deadline is the end of that Wednesday. Drop a holiday in the middle, and you push the deadline another day. Count it wrong, file in your case a little bit too early, and you filed on that notice that hasn't legally expired. That's a restart, and restarts are the most expensive thing in this whole process, because every extra week is another week of rent you're not collecting. All right, step 5, know the tenant's options and the partial payment trap. During those 3 days, the tenant really has 2 choices: pay the full amount you demanded or move out. If they pay the full amount in time, that's the end of it. By law, you accept the payment, the notice is satisfied, and the tenancy continues. Now here's the trap that catches good-hearted landlords. Suppose the tenant can't pay all of it and offers you a partial payment. Say they owe $2,000 and hand you $800. If you accept that partial payment, you generally wipe out the notice. To keep moving forward towards eviction, you'd have to start over and serve a brand new notice for the new lower balance of $1,200. So before you take a single dollar of partial rent, understand exactly what it does to your case. Plenty of landlords accept a little money to be reasonable and then accidentally reset the entire clock. Step 6, if they don't pay and don't leave, then you go to court. If the 3-day runs out and the tenant hasn't paid and hasn't moved, the notice has done its job. Now, and only now, can you actually file the eviction. It's called an unlawful detainer, and you file it at the Superior Court in where the county and the Superior Court in the county where the property sits. Sorry about that. Filing fees generally run $240 to $435, depending the county and the amount you're claiming. But look at everything that has had to come first. A correct notice with the exact amount, all the required language, served by the right methods, with the days counted correctly. Every single one of those is a place the case can fall quietly apart. The notice is not a formality you just rush through. It is the foundation of the entire eviction stands on. One more caveat. Your city or county may add rules. Everything I just walked through is the general statewide process under California law. But this is also California, so your local government also gets a say too. Cities and counties like Los Angeles, Oakland, Berkeley, and San Francisco, among others, have their own ordinances. Some require you to register notices or file copies with a local agency. Some layer extra just cause rules on them on top of the notice. So before you serve anything, check whether your specific county or city has added requirements, because a notice that's perfectly valid in one town can be incomplete in the next town. All right, so that's the no BS version on the 3-day notice. It may look simple, but that's exactly why so many landlords lose on it. It rewards precision and punishes shortcuts. Before you go, most California landlords miss the 3-day notice. The biggest cost isn't the filing fees. It's the weeks of lost rent when your notice gets tossed out on a technicality and you have to start over. So I built a free eviction checklist. Every step, every requirement, every line on the notice, and the common mistakes that void a case. Grab it in the link below, or if you'd rather hand off the whole thing, you can reach us at wellspringpm.com or call me at 760-371-4282 extension 101. That line comes straight to me. Once again, I'm Chrissy Wade with Wellspring Property Management. We serve Ridgecrest, Inyokern, Stockton, Modesto, and the surrounding areas. I'll see you next time.